Hey everyone, welcome to the Water Champions podcast, where we spotlight the innovators redefining how we use and reuse water in our homes, businesses, and communities. I'm your host, Paul Mann, and I'm so excited about today's podcast. We're joined by Arthur Valkieser and Sabine Stuiver, the visionary co-founders of Hydraloop, and I love this product. This award-winning Dutch company is transforming water sustainability with smart, decentralized systems that recycle greywater from showers, bathtubs, and washing machines, and use it for flushing toilets, doing laundry, irrigation, and other non-potable uses, reducing household water use by up to 45% without compromising comfort and without using perfectly good drinking water to flush the toilets. From winning CES's Best of the Best to earning the UN's WIPO Global Award, Hydraloop is proving that elegant design and environmental impact can go hand in hand. Whether you're an architect, a builder, policymaker, or an eco-conscious homeowner, this conversation is going to inspire you to rethink what's possible when we use water twice. So let's dive in. Arthur and Sabine, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Nice to be here.
To start, can you share what inspired you to establish Hydraloop?
Yes, of course. I remember very well. It's more than 20 years ago. We were talking with some friends, and one of our friends, he said, "Isn't it strange that we use drinkable, potable tap water to flush our toilets?" And water scarcity was already 25 years ago an issue, also in the US, in many states. And almost half of the tap water that we use per day is used in the bathroom for showering. So by collecting that water and use it again to flush the toilet, then you save up to 45% of your water. So one of our friends started to build a system, and it worked very well for about 7 days. And then the water started to smell terribly because there was no treatment at all. And we learned that it's not so easy just collecting the shower water and use it again. So you need treatment, etc. Then it took quite a long time. And then almost 15 years later, I had some time. I sold my business, and it gave me the opportunity to look to the world in a different way, to see how we people misuse our earth and our source materials like water. And then I thought, okay, this is such a good idea. I will start with Hydraloop, and if I can find a technology to treat the water in such a way that it is safe and clean, and you can use that for toilet flushing and washing machine.
Yeah, so actually on the friend's kind of old idea, Arthur reimagined everything and completely restarted. That was in 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
Studied a lot about legislation and standards. What does that recycled water has to comply with? And then, of course, started to create the machine.
Amazing. And you didn't just create a machine, it's beautiful. What influenced that style and design? How did you come up with it? What's your background that you achieved such a beautiful device?
So I have a design background, and of course I always loved Apple products. That helps also. I know that design is so important. And when I started to investigate water recycling systems, they all look ugly. This is not something you want in your home. So when I had the technology, I started to design the product, and that of course cooperated with a mechanical designer, and that's how it became the product as it is today.
Yeah.
That's amazing. When you think about greywater, most people think about it, ugh, it's dirty. And I think you really broke through that misconception with this product because it's really something you could have, not just your garage, but maybe even inside your home. A lot of people I know do put them inside their homes, and it becomes an art piece and something to really look at and enjoy.
Especially with the new generation, where we have the replaceable front cover. So the product itself is ivory white, so it's clean, and then you can choose a cover that fits very well with the design of your home.
Yeah.
Can you give us an overview of how Hydraloop recycles water for household or facilities reuse?
Yeah, of course. What the system does is we actually collect lightly used water. So from showers, baths, washing machines, and also from heating and air conditioning systems, the condensation water. And we collect it in the system. This means that you can either do that by design, so for new construction, or if it's an existing building, of course, then the piping system has to be adjusted a bit so that system can collect these types of water. In the system itself, it is everything. So the Hydraloop unit, and we have a product portfolio, so smaller and larger units. But the unit itself is on the top part is the treatment facility, and on the lower part is actually the storage and the distribution center. So the water is in building, in property, treated, purified to NSF 350 standards. And then from the treatment, it goes to the lower part of the system, and there it is redisinfected every 4 hours because it is stored. And it will actually be delivered to the users fully automatically. And these are and can be or toilets, washing machine, garden irrigation, pool top-up, and it can also be used for cleaning purposes.
Great. So cleaning being like washing your car or
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. So Hydraloop's technology combines 6 advanced treatments without using filters or chemicals. Can you explain how this process works and its benefits, and maybe how it's even different from competitive products out there?
When I started to design the water treatment technology, it was my goal not to use filters and membranes. Not that they don't work, but they need maintenance, they clog. So the treatment works without filters, and that was actually my design goal. It's not that filters don't work, but they need maintenance, and they clog, especially with shampoo and hair conditioner, they clog within weeks. And then you clean that, which is not nice. So my goal was to find a way to get the soap and everything out and the dirt and the hair without using a physical filter. So what we do is sedimentation and flotation. Lighter dirt will go to the surface of the water, heavier dirt will sink to a small collector tank from where it is automatically discharged to the sewer. And then the floating dirt we skim off, and then we switch on the aeration system. So millions of tiny air bubbles will travel upwards in the column of one of the tanks, and suspended solids have the tendency to stick on the skin of an air bubble and is then traveling up to the surface of the skimmer. And there it is skimmed off once every 10 minutes with a little bit of water. Of course, there is also soap or hair conditioner in the water, and we wanted to remove that, so we have a mechanical, physical removal using foam fractionation. These air bubbles that travel upwards form a layer of foam on top of the skimmer, and the water is just below the skimmer, but the foam will be on top of the water, and there is a deflector that removes it from the skimmer. So we physically remove out the soap out of the water using the skimmer. And with the soap, a lot of dirt is also going out. And then we have a bioreactor in the outside tanks, and that's where the biological treatment is taking place. The water is rich of oxygen, and a culture will develop where bacteria live, and they digest all the suspended solids and organic matters in the water.
So when you say a culture, you mean it's like a living biome that is.
Yeah.
It just comes there. When you buy the Hydraloop, there are 0 in there, and they come in there for free.
Yeah. So after 3 weeks, it will develop. And of course, because if you lose a shampoo of brand X or a shampoo of brand Y, the composition is a little bit different. But the bacteria develop automatically based on the type of food that is in the water. Just like in nature, by the way. It's a nature-based treatment system.
And this might gross people out, but the food is actually the skin that comes off of people's bodies when they shower.
And the soap, yeah, everything.
And they are aerobic bacteria, meaning they're not doing aerobics, but it means that they do not smell. And of course, the whole system is airtight as well.
Yeah. And then after 4.5 hours, the water that comes in is a bit hazy because of the soap. And after 4.5 hours, it looks like tap water. It's completely clear. And then we disinfect it, and it flows to the storage tank while being disinfected, and it's waiting there for the users so that the water will be delivered on demand, depending on the demand. So if you flush the toilet, water will be pumped to the toilet and you flush it with recycled shower water, and you don't use drinkable tap water anymore to flush your toilet.
So cool. So cool. So this is no longer gray water. It comes in gray water and it comes out germ-free clear water into your toilet or your washing machine or irrigation.
Disinfected, safe, everything. Yes.
Magic. That is magic. And you're not adding anything, no chemicals, there's nothing. From that standpoint, how often does this system need to be serviced?
We recommend one service a year. But of course, the system is monitored 24/7 because every Hydraloop device is IoT connected. So the system is monitoring itself, but also the central server is also monitoring all systems and also giving feedback to the app of the users.
Interesting. So it knows when there's an issue and it sends some sort of alert to
Yes, exactly.
your team. And
Yeah, to give you an example, there is a UV light in there for the disinfection. Of course, that's a very important step. And you want to be sure that the disinfection is working properly. That the UV lamp is not working properly, it gives a signal and the Hydraloop device will stop serving recycled water, and it will offer the backup water, which most of the time is your tap water. And then it will have a warning light, it will give a warning bleep, and it will also send a message to the central server, and that will send a message to the app. If the internet connection is lost, it will still give the warning in the house with an alarm and an alarm light. Yeah.
that's great. And so you're saying when the system isn't working, you've got backup water, maybe it's municipal water for water, whatever people are using, and that takes over and allows them to keep flushing toilets and doing whatever they did with Hydraloop until Hydraloop is back in service.
Yes, exactly.
But
Yeah.
but I
That's great.
think Paul, it feels so important to mention again that so when Arthur started to create this system, he had a few design goals, and one of them was that it had to be very low on maintenance because we wanted to create a product not just for the people that have a very green heart and that are willing, for example, to lose. Even give in some comfort of living because they want to be green and they want to do good for society. We aimed with this product to everybody in the world that yes, people want to be good, but they also don't want to give in on comfort, etc. And so that's why this system is so beautiful because it is self-cleaning. But yes, of course, once a year it needs a little bit of maintenance. And for the rest, the most beautiful thing we hear is it's in there, we have it, but we don't even notice it's there because it's doing its job. You can live your life and enjoy it. And in the meantime, you save water, energy, and money.
Yeah, that's right. People don't want the headache. They already have municipal water without a problem. Why add this if I have to service it all the time? And I think you hit it with a product that really you set it and forget it. And once a year it gets maintained and it sounds like real time monitored all the time, which is great. What I'm hearing is that on the smartphone, the homeowner can see what's going on. Can you talk a little bit about what that means for them?
And what it means for them, for example, is the app will tell you can take longer showers and enjoy your bathroom because you are using the water. Otherwise, you're using tap water to flush your toilet. So if you want, you don't need to have this low flow shower head. No, you can have a rain shower because you are using the water again. And the app will tell you and help you to find the optimum between comfort of living, enjoying your shower, and reusing that water for toilet flushing, washing machine, and garden.
But I think what it also does, and that is so important, I think many people don't realize the real and true value of water and how valuable water is and how much we're wasting. And with the app, you actually get more of a connection with your water footprint, and people can see how much water they've saved and how much they've recycled. And we are seeing that if you look at people with solar energy, you're looking at your app all the time and seeing, hey, how much have I created? How much am I saving? And this can be done the same way. So the app is really making that bridging and making that connection between the people and products.
And that actually becomes fun. Knowledge is power. On my property, we've reduced our water by 60, sometimes 70% in some months, our municipal water use. And it's fun to see like you said, how you're using water. I can take a longer shower because I need it for irrigation or I need it to flush toilets. Okay. And you find that balance where you feel like you're almost cheating the system because you are reducing your costs and you're achieving all your goals for water use at the same time, which is really great. We have some teens that take longer showers here, and I can imagine for some people that's super frustrating, but they could relax if they could watch it and figure out how that water is going to translate into their flushing, their laundry, their irrigation, and so on.
Yeah. For some people, it becomes also more like a game.
That's right.
You really find that optimum.
With the app, you can do so many cool things. For example, maybe today, because it's been so dry, you say, hey, I want all my recycled water to go to the irrigation of the garden, or I want it to go to the pool, or now I want to keep it indoors. So you have so much flexibility. So you have the power at your fingertips, what you're going to do with that recycled water, which is really cool.
So beyond that, it sounds like your system gives the homeowner a peace of mind that their system is operating because it is a set and forget it kind of system. But if you want to check in, you can make sure that everything is still working properly.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. So let's talk about the installation of your product. Can Hydraloop easily be integrated into existing homes and buildings, or are they primarily designed for new construction and major renovations? And what challenges come with retrofitting a Hydraloop into an older home if they do that?
Yeah. Of course, it's easiest is to prepare the plumbing, the pipes in a new build home. It is almost at no additional costs to do that. In an existing home, it is possible depending on the home. So, for example, if you have a crawl space, you can bring the plumbing in the crawl space. But many homes don't have a crawl space. And then it's easy to just take your bathroom, maybe replace your shower, and then have a little lift pump pumping the water up above the ceiling and bring it over the ceiling to the location where the Hydraloop is, and then it will flow down and it will flow into the Hydraloop. And from there, you connect one or two toilets to it. Yeah.
But I think also what is important that, and what we offer as a company and through our partners as well, is if it is an existing building, to have a look at the situation with you and then to see what is possible. And then also then to find the optimum of, as Arthur is saying, okay, which showers or which water will we have enter the system.
Yeah.
But in general, of course, in most of what we are doing, and although we're a Dutch company, we work globally. We have 130 partners in 35 countries. And basically, most of it that is in homes, but also in commercial real estate, or that can be gyms or hospitality or whatever. A lot of it is in new construction or a major renovation.
Paul, let me give an example. We have a holiday home in the south of France. And the south of France is really hit by drought. So the result was that we were not allowed to top up our pool anymore, and that there was a restriction on tap water use. So we are now renovating our house. We actually will finalize it 2 weeks from now. We opened up the floor and we just made the shower water going through the floor and we put the tiles back on it. It took 2 days just to change the plumbing, to separate the shower water from 2 bathrooms to the outside, and from there we connected it to the toilets. So it can be done. Of course, it's a little bit more expensive, but now we can top up our pool again. Or
That's
we
great.
can have our holiday home also in the summer when the drought will hit us again.
So what I'm hearing is that best scenario obviously is plan ahead. Architects, developers, designers, builders should be thinking about this upstream, pitch it to the clients. Hopefully it gets approved. And there's really not much incremental cost in the piping because it's all done from the get-go, but it's not impossible to do a retrofit. It just depends. You had a great scenario in your holiday home in the south of France, and that might work for many people. Others, it's just a cost return on investment analysis that they have to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but ultimately everybody will do it because the water scarcity problem will just become bigger and bigger.
Some people really advocate for simply reusing untreated gray water for irrigation rather than recycling it. And I'm curious, why is filtration and treatment important? How does Hydraloop's approach differ from direct gray water use?
Direct gray water use is probably only possible for the garden if you accept the detergent in the water. If you accept that, you can do that, yes. But in the house and storing that water, it will smell. It will smell to rotten eggs.
It will take about a couple of days.
It will take a couple of days. So that's actually how we started in the beginning 25 years ago. It doesn't work. So you need to take the organic matter out of the water and you need to disinfect it, and then it can be safely reused. You need to treat the water, yes.
Yeah, and your system is constantly cleaning through UV anyhow. Even though it's holding water, it still re-cleans it and even flushes it out over time. So you don't get a smell with your product.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And there are standards for health and safety, etc. So one of them is the NSF 350. When Arthur designed the product, one of the main goals was also to be certified for that standard. Our product is certified for NSF 350, which means that it is certified to one of the highest international standards. So the water is clean, clear, and safe, and disinfected for non-potable usage.
So you're saying it has to meet a minimum acceptable standard that's set by this organization, NSF, so people can be confident that it's safe for use for flushing and laundry and irrigation and things like that.
And it's also a requirement in many areas in the US. Either the UPC or the IPC code, they have implemented and integrated NSF 350 standard. It's also a matter of safety. If you install an NSF certified water recycling system, you know that it is tested and that it is safe. Yeah.
That's right. Here in California, we have the California Plumbing Code, and NSF 350. When you say that word, it automatically makes it approved as a product in California, which is fantastic, because then we don't have to go through all the approvals and regulatory issues. There's no argument, which is something I really love about your product. So let's move on and talk a little bit about market adoption and challenges. First, what countries are adopting Hydraloop more readily and why?
We are working globally in many countries. And we are seeing more and more regions and countries where water saving or water recycling is mandated by standards, by legislation. So most of it is driven by drought, by water scarcity. And of course, this is something that is all over the world. And the interesting thing is everybody's been always thinking that it is the global south that is suffering, but already here in the global north, and even in the Netherlands, a country that most of the country is actually below sea level, we are suffering from drought. Currently, at the moment, just to let you know, this is hot off the press, 1967 was the year in the Netherlands that was the worst drought ever since they've been measuring water and drought, etc. So that must be more than 100 years. We are currently already worse than that level. So this is going to be
in April. Yeah.
And obviously, this is because of climate change and population growth and urbanization, etc. So all these are triggers. But which areas and countries? Many, but to name a few. Belgium, which is just next to our country, they have to use rainwater for toilet flushing. So basically, they're not allowed to use tap water for toilet flushing. In the United Kingdom, they are building whole new neighborhoods, which they have to build net zero, meaning there can be 0 extra liter of water used in that area. So water recycling is mandated in these buildings. It is in Barcelona, in Spain, where every new building has to have a water recycler in it. In the south of France, where all the hospitality needs it. In Mexico, in Peru, in Australia, so many places. But also in the US, there are certain areas that now actually offer also incentives. So the state of Florida, they haven't mandated, but what they do is they give a financial incentive. So they offer a 35% density bonus to all builders and developers that build 100% of the homes on that particular plot of land with grey water recycling technology.
Yeah, NSF certified grey water recycling.
Fantastic.
And the state is also offering a tax credit of up to $4,200 for all residential applications that include greywater recycling technology. And now, for example, the state of Hawaii has recently passed its second reading of a new proposed bill outlining similar incentives to that of the state of Florida. So they will have their third and final reading, I believe, very soon, and the bill will become law.
Yes, and the good thing is that Florida was the inspiration for Hawaii.
Yeah.
That's great. And just for people who don't understand, when you say density bonus, what that means is that if they can reduce the amount of water that they're using per unit, they can build more units, which seems to be an important factor for developers and designers because we have a growing population and they want to put more units on there. They can make more money per square
Exactly.
foot and,
Yeah,
and,
just
and
tell
and
more.
get approvals and get the approvals that are so hard to get sometimes for building.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those incentives, I think you said $4,200 for residential. That could go right against the cost of purchasing a Hydraloop and having it installed.
Almost.
But this is for the builders, so this is not for the
Homeowners.
So this is for the builders to put it in. So there is also a Florida Star. So in certain areas in Florida, there's another $1,000, not a tax benefit, but actually a cash benefit. You can almost like for free install a Hydraloop system. And then, of course, as you say, the real trigger is in the fact that the project developer can build 35% more homes on the plot land.
Sure, I love it. And they can also really tout that they're building a more eco-friendly community. I'm sure they're getting some benefit with lead points or other things, or it certainly helps in that portfolio to really bolster their efforts. So it seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's interesting because you talked about certain states or certain countries with rebates and incentives. How do you think these incentives are impacting adoption rates?
Oh, they are crucial for adoption rate because we have many customers also in the US. But of course, because in general, water is very valuable, but in many places it's still very cheap. So it's maybe not available, but it is very cheap. So to really get the flying wheel going, it helps tremendously if there are tax incentives, financial incentives, not only for the property developers, but also for the end users. Yeah, so it's crucial.
Those incentives were offered for solar, they were offered for EVs. You could argue that those industries wouldn't exist without those incentives. Why do you think it's taken so long and it's been so hard to get incentives in the water space?
I think in general, water has been seen as a forever fountain, that it's a right. And because when you open the tap and it spouts out and you flush your toilet and it just disappears, we, the general public, we have no idea about the whole infrastructure, the actual cost of that water is first being sourced, it's being treated, then it's pumped. Every liter of water weighs a kilo. It's just very heavy stuff. And it needs to be pumped up mountains, over everywhere to come to all our buildings. Then we use it once. The moment you have a shower, the moment here it is potable water, and a few seconds later it ends up in your drain. Then it needs to be pumped away again, then it needs to be purified, and then it's let loose into rivers and oceans and whatever. If you look at that system now, the Romans already did that 2,000 years ago. Fantastic innovation then. But hey, 21st century, this is not sustainable because it's so well set up. We just don't realize the real cost. And also, there are so many different stakeholders. But at the end of the day, the homeowner in general doesn't pay a lot of money. But the cost for this whole system is borne by many different stakeholders. So that is difficult.
Yeah, I think you're right. The cost of water in so many areas is so low that it's a throwaway item. It's not something you really think about. But to your point of all the pumping and treatment and everything, I think the statistic is 20% of our total energy usage is used for that, pumping and treatment and so on. And the energy and the carbon impact is really invisible to us, but it's significant to climate. And it is really something when you think about a product like yours, Because instead of doing a centralized treatment, you're doing a decentralized processing on the property. Your product just plugs into a standard outlet. It's using a whole lot less of energy, which means less carbon impact. And of course, you're just reusing that water. So you get, as you say, you use water twice.
Yeah,
Which is
well,
fantastic.
actually, Paul, the ecological footprint of Hydraloop recycled water is substantial lower than the ecological footprint of tap water.
Sure. Which is why this is such an important product. Because as you said, if everyone did this,
But we also already have clients in California that their Hydraloop took them from tier 4 and 3, I think, into tier 2, and their ROI is 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years. So it really depends also where you live, and also many people that live remote, where there is no infrastructure, etc. This is also a great product.
sure. So we just talked about incentives. Are you seeing any policies or legislation being developed to either mandate or encourage decentralized water recycling?
Yes, for example, Sabine just said in the UK, there it's mandated, but also in New South Wales in Australia, if you want to build a home or if you do a renovation that has a budget higher than 50,000 Australian dollars, it is mandated that you install an alternative water system like rainwater or water recycling system in your home. It's mandated.
That's
But of
great.
course, this takes time, and this is what we are advocating for. So for new construction everywhere in the world, that we call it recycle-ready plumbing, so that the building is ready for either a water recycler or it can be like a rainwater treatment system or whatever. But that becomes a standard item in every single building. Because, as Arthur said before, it's very easy to implement, it's very cheap when it's by design, and then we are prepared for the future.
Yeah. Let's talk about the ROI. So what does the cost versus the water savings analysis look like for a Hydraloop system? What is its lifetime and what does that water savings look like over that time frame?
Yeah. The lifetime of the tanks and the tubes and the feed and so is we say 20 years. But of course, certain components need a replacement. For example, the UV light. The UV light needs to be, depending on the way the system is used, the amount of people that live there, it has to be replaced maybe every 2 years. And of course, there is a lot of development in UV light technology. So maybe 2 years from now, you can replace it with a lamp that will last for 4 years. So this is an item. And then the air pump, for example, needs to be refurbished every 3 years. So of course, they're low cost, but there is some cost involved in replacing components, just like you do with your car, for example. So you need new tires when you drive with your car. Yeah.
Sure.
But I think, and as I said before, so for some people, they have an ROI of 2 years, which is actually quite quick. For some, it is 5 or 7 years. It all depends on the cost of your city water and also your wastewater. In some countries or areas, that is 4 times the price of the municipal water.
Yeah.
But it also adds long-term value to your home or a building. So it is an investment. And so maybe the return isn't so quick. But besides that, it also offers comfort of living. We have customers that sometimes, like, they are in the hospitality and one day a week there is no water. So they literally, how can they run their business when they just don't have water? So if you then create your own water and your own water supply, so the system is more than just an ROI. It is also giving you comfort of living, the choice, security, and doing things with it. And sometimes in many states, you're not allowed to water your lawn or do things like that or top up your pool like we weren't allowed in the south of France. But when we create our own water, we can do that.
Sure. And you have an online calculator for people to do some analysis based on their own local numbers or statistics, number of people in their home and so on. Yeah. Real, really cool. So we talked about putting a Hydraloop in a home. Have you integrated Hydraloop systems in multifamily buildings or hotels or gyms or commercial properties?
Absolutely, yes. We have the Hydraloop Cascade. So that's where we combine 2, 3, 4, or up to 6 or 10 systems, depending on the amount of water that we want to collect and treat. So we did hotels in Brussels and in Ostende, also in Belgium. We did an elderly home in Gibraltar. So we do apartment buildings, hotels, gyms, football clubs. Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
So this technology really does scale for those larger applications.
yes.
It's modular, scalable, made to measure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I love it. Let's get into the future of water conservation. What emerging trends are you seeing in decentralized water management, and how has Hydraloop positioned itself within those trends?
I think how we position ourselves is that we are unique in the world because our system is the only system that doesn't use the filters and the membranes and chemicals. So, with the self cleaning, low maintenance. So, we're quite unique in that sense. I think we're being perceived as a global market leader. So, that is one how we position ourselves in the market. And we have also some exciting news, but maybe we'll talk about it later about our collaboration with this very major brand. And then, yeah, I think water reuse is becoming a necessity. It's no longer a nice to have, it's a must have.
Sure.
Decentralized systems, it's just like with energy. Like everybody is at home creating their own solar energy. This is the trend towards in property, extreme decentralized water recycling. And especially, of course, in climate stress regions. And climate stress regions are these areas are becoming.
More and more. I think people don't understand how quickly this stuff is happening around them, if not in their community.
Yeah. And of course, we all need water. We can't live without. I mean, after a couple of days, it becomes a real issue.
Yeah. To that point, with the increasing droughts and water shortages in many parts of the world, how do you see Hydraloop playing a role in long-term water resilience strategies for cities and communities?
We are already doing this. So I think one of the main important things is that we offer real, practical, proven solutions. People can deploy them right now. How many do you want to have? We can deliver them next week. So this is very tangible. And what we're doing more and more, and this is in the Middle East, that we're doing massive, involved in very big projects in England,
And Saudi.
also in America and in
In
Canada,
America.
by the way. So these are not like single family homes, but these are whole regions with thousands and thousands of homes. So these are whole communities, and basically these are areas, and even in the Netherlands, where at the moment in time, 300,000 homes in the Netherlands that have to be built within the coming years cannot be built because the water utility doesn't have enough water. So the water utility stops the whole construction because there is no water. The interesting thing is that here a water recycler becomes an enabler for the project to either go ahead or not. So we're seeing this more and more. And with that, I think many countries, they have a vision on how to make their country more water sustainable.
And your product isn't version 1.0 either. You've had a chance to work out your bugs and you're in a whole other life cycle stage of version of your product. So this is not a brand new thing that people have to worry about. It's been out for some time now and tested and proven as a sustainable but also durable solution.
Absolutely. Yes, it's proven technology now. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So let's talk about your plans for global expansion and partnerships. Could you elaborate on your newly announced partnership with Hansgrohe as well as your acquisition of Upfall Shower?
Absolutely.
Yes. So the Upfall shower is a product that is designed by an inventor entrepreneur here in the Netherlands. And it was already on the market and is already on the market for about 10 years. And it's a beautiful product. And the inventor, he phoned me the end of last year and he said, Arthur, I'm going to retire. But I would like it very much if you can take our product and bring it to the market. And so we made a deal, a financial deal. And so now it is the Hydraloop Upfall shower. And it's a fantastic product. I think your president would love it. It has a shower head and it offers 35 liters of water a minute. It is a spa shower and it's a circular shower. It only uses 2 to 3 liters. So you save a lot of water. You save 80% energy and you have this wellness experience of an abundance of water out of your shower head. So this combined with a Hydraloop recycler, you have a 25-liter home, not a 50-liter home, a 25-liter home.
But you're telling me that with the Upfall Shower, you're going to get 9.5 gallons per minute of flow, which is like tripling or maybe in quadrupling an incredible flow already if we had 2.5 gallons, and you're saying it's only going to use a half a gallon of water in that whole shower?
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I know of course, I found all the clients, of many of the clients, not all, because they sold 1,500 units in the Netherlands alone. But so I found many clients, and they're so happy with it because they reduced their energy bill. That has an ROI of 3 to 4 years just by energy saving. It's skimming, filtering, disinfecting in real time, and then you can have this beautiful spa wellness shower and saving a lot of water and energy.
This is really cool because I could see there are some use cases. Hey, we got a lot of people in the household, 4 or 5 people, maybe more. Let's do Hydraloop. Let's the Hydraloop system, whole house water
Quickly.
reuse.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just a single couple. The kids who left the house, they only use one shower in the house. They don't need the whole house. Maybe this product, the Hydraloop upfall shower, is a better solution because you're not redoing all the piping. You're just changing out things in the shower to make that work. And you get an 80% reduction in water and energy. Very,
So
and you get that great flow.
exactly. So that product is very easy for a bathroom retrofit. That's why we are so happy with it in our portfolio, because it is a very easy installation.
And we will
Right. So
start
you could retrofit that probably in a couple days.
Oh, I think
in a day.
in a day.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So we will offer this mid next year on the international market.
Congratulations. And what about Hans Grohe? What is that about?
Hansgrohe. Hansgrohe is a major brand in the bathroom, in taps, shower heads.
They're huge.
Like Kohler or a Moen.
That's right.
Yeah.
You probably know these brands better.
Yeah, yeah. And we started talking with them 3 years ago. They approached us and they started talking. And now during ISH, which is a major sanitation and bathroom exhibition in Frankfurt in Germany, we announced the cooperation that Hans Grohe is selling Hydraloop products to their markets.
Wow.
So just an idea, they have 6,000 people working for them. They did 1.5 billion euro turnover in 2023.
Yeah.
And so just from the exhibition, they had 33,000 leads. They're not all about Hydraloop, but just to give you an idea what this will mean for us. But what is interesting is that, so Hans Grohe, so they have like shower heads and faucets. That's what they started with. But they now also have the whole interior for the bathroom.
Wow.
Everywhere where they go, and a lot of these are projects for like international hotel brands like Hilton Hotel, Intercontinental Hotel Group, Accor, etc. These organizations, and this is from top down, they all want to reduce their water.
Yeah.
But all the products they have, they use water. And now they can come in there and say, hey, but we also have this product that saves a lot of water and energy and money.
So you can offer your clients in your hotel a nice rain shower, and then you collect the water and use that again in the hotel. So you actually reduce your energy and water footprint, and you offer your clients a rich shower experience.
If there was any question about whether Hydraloop was a real product, I think this partnership really validates that it is. Congratulations. Wrapping up, reflecting on your journey, Arthur, Sabine, what key insights would you like to share with our listeners about the importance of water conservation?
The value of water is very important. Sabine just said before, we breathe air and we need water to live. And the value of water is important. And it's the blue gold. And we should use water also so that the value of water is reflecting from the way how we use it. Yes, we can enjoy our life, but we also have to take care of our habitat.
Absolutely. For those who have really gotten inspired by this and they're interested in adopting water recycling solutions, what advice or resources would you recommend?
The solutions are here. This is the most important thing. There are all types of solutions. So if you want to start saving water, just go on internet and you find solutions and just start implementing it. And the beauty is that, and I know this from Arthur, when we started recycling our water, he always says, I so much more enjoy my shower knowing that water isn't wasted, and that it is used again.
It feels so good. It feels so good.
It does.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Arthur and Sabine. It's been so great to hear your insights and really appreciate them. Before we wrap up, where can our listeners learn more about Hydraloop and how to get involved in making water go farther?
Obviously, hydraloop.com. This is our website. We have an office in North America, Europe, Middle East, Australia, and then we're on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter. Oh, X. I can still mention the, yeah, so you can find us everywhere and just contact us. So if you have a question or you don't,
Fill the contact form.
feel free. We're here to help.
I get that. I feel that. You guys are so great. Thank you again to our listeners for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and stay tuned for more conservation with leaders in water innovation. See you next time on the Water Champions podcast. Hey, thanks for watching. Our water future depends on action, and we all need to be water champions. Visit waterchampions.com to explore cutting-edge water reuse and efficiency solutions for your home or business. Learn how you can implement these solutions through online courses available at renovaacademy.com. And please drop your comments below, like, share, and subscribe to help spread the word. Thank you.